Alrighty, and I will mute everyone for a better recording. Great. So we'll start standing up. Great. If you have any questions, just flag me down or unmute yourselves. Let's bring the barrel down onto your mat somewhere. So it's just in front of you. And we'll just ignore it for a moment. I just reset your body, find your triangle, pull. You okay, Janet? Oh, so you're muted. Okay, so you find your triangle. Pull your abdominals away from it. Send your tailbone down. So find that space in the back. That's probably the most key thing that we can work on, is finding that space between the bottom rib and the top of your hip bone, both in the front and the back, and try and make that back space as the equal to the front. You can text me, Janet, if you're can't get through to me. So keep spacing that out, and let's do a couple of arm circles here. And as you're circling, find the three corners of your feet, your big toe joint, the small toe joint, the middle of your heel. Squeeze the heels together if that works for you in that outward rotation. And then maybe when you reverse your arm circles, you can rise up onto your heels. You can either stay there or you can lower every time you go through a circle. Think about that space at the bottom of that rib cage, below your rib cage. And then keep your heels down, keep the arms up to the ceiling, head between arms. Pull your ears back between your arms and space out that belt even better, keeping your head between your arms. Oh, we need to find our space from our barrel. So, sorry, take a second and just put your barrel down in front of you. Good morning, Mary. Just recording class, and it's in speaker view. So once you're set up in front of your barrel, you want about a foot distance from the barrel. Find your Pilates stance, or if it's better for you in parallel, you know which works for you. Reach your arms up to the ceiling and bring your ears back between your arms. Find that space in just below your lowest rib at the back. Eyes are going to take your head down. So start to look down at the barrel. Keep your head between your arms. As you dive your head down, space out the front now of your belt. Bring your fingertips to the barrel. If you can, bring your whole hand down to the barrel. If you can't, bring the heel of your hand down to the barrel. Shift your weight forward over your arms. Keep your head between your arms. See if you can just bend your elbows a little bit. And if you have to bend your knees, go for it. Don't worry about that so much. Just try and keep the weight equal on your hands and your feet. Now, when you finish this third bend, come up to your fingertips, keep the weight on your arms, though. Try and stay in that sort of square shape to make sure everyone's good. Okay, keeping your eyes on your knees, start to lift your fingertips off the barrel. Reach the arms forward. Your head is between your arms. Your ears are adjacent to your arms. As you stand up straight, make sure those hips come forward and you respace the belt. I'm just going to watch everybody again on this one. So arms up to the ceiling, heads between the arms, space out the lower back and the front areas of your belt. And then you start to look down at the barrel, arms, head between your arms. Yeah, shift the weight forward on your arms just a little bit more, everybody. Yeah, and if you can get the heel of your hands down on the barrel, if it means you have to bend your knees a little bit, do so. So you're looking up at your belly or you're looking at your knees. And then I really stretch the arms, push the barrel down into the floor, keep the legs stable. I'm not going to say straight, but stable, and try and root down through the three corners of your feet. Bending your elbows, it's the top of your head that you're driving down to the barrel. And then you push with the arms to straighten them, but try and keep the weight over the barrel. So you're not changing the angle of your back. You're trying to round your back. You're trying to pull your belly button up to the ceiling. And then come up onto your fingertips. Try to keep the weight on those fingertips. Find the three corners of your feet. As you reach the arms forward, push the hips forward, reach the arms up to the ceiling. And then you can circle the arms down and around. One more time, reach the arms up, heads between the arms, eyes start to look down. Your ears are adjacent to your arms as they go forward, hands down on the barrel, shift the weight forward. For those of you that have worked on the wonder chair, this is the push down on the wonder chair. Hold it here. Now space out the front and the back of your belt. Get your shoulders away from your ears. Pull your ribs up to the ceiling a little bit more. See if you can rise up onto your toes and then lower them. Rise up onto your toes and pull your ribs and your belly up to the ceiling even more. Leave that up on the ceiling as you lower your heels. One more time, rise up onto the toes. As you lower the heels, try and leave your back on the ceiling. Bend your elbows 3 times. When you push your arms down straight, try to keep the weight on your feet and your arms equally. One more time. And then you'll rise up onto your fingertips, keeping your head between your arms. So we're preparing to come up to standing. The tendency is to shift the weight onto the toes, but try to keep the weight even on your 3 corners. As you bring the arms forward, ears stay adjacent to the arms go up to the ceiling, and you finish with the circle. Excellent. Now let's reposition the barrel so it's behind your back. And if you like, you can always play with the angle that you sit in, because we always sit in the same position facing the camera. So go ahead and just lower yourself down to the mat anyway. I appreciate that you're trying to get down there in the fancy way, but that's fine today. So bend your knees and bring the barrel right up against the back of your hips. For some of you whose barrels move around a lot, you can get that shelving stuff that's like this. And you can stick that underneath your barrel and it'll keep it from slipping around. I just want to mention that. And if you know anybody that's looking for a barrel, my friend is selling a arc barrel. Holding underneath your knees, pull your back up straight, open the collarbones, think about spacing out the belt. Now I've mentioned before when we have our hips on the barrel, the quarter top pockets in your jeans filled with dressmaker pins. I want you to think about those pockets filled with pins now. So get lots of space there. And then we'll just lean back. The barrel is right there. You're going to feel it with the pelvis. Try and keep your full height of your spine, full length of your spine. Keep your feet on the floor and just keep pushing yourself back over the barrel. Yep, keep going until your arms are micro bent, till you can't go any further. Holding on to the back of your knees. You're going to bring your nose between your knees, pressing into the 3 corners of your feet, and pull yourself all the way forward. Straighten up your back. And let's do it one more time with the barrel in this position. Trying not to sink down, but stay tall as you lean back. Bring your nose down between your knees. Now move the barrel away from you, 2 full palm widths from your pelvis, from your tailbone. Position your feet so that they're flat on the floor, holding underneath your knees, thumbs with your fingers, elbows wide, feet flat, head all the way up to the ceiling. Thinking about the pins in your pocket, start to lean back, thinking about your space belt as you go, all of those things. When you hit the barrel this time, stay there, reach your hands forward over your knees, push into the barrel, pull with your feet, pull your hips, don't actually move your hips or your feet, but try and pull those 2 things together. Keep reaching your hands over your knees, come up 1 inch, but don't leave the barrel. Just reach those arms forward 1 inch and then go back and reach forward 1 inch. Actually have some reference point of your hands or wrists over your knees that you can measure, and that reaching forward and pulsing back. And one more time, reach forward, go all the way forward, grab your toes or your ankles, bring your head between your knees and take a big stretch. Pull with your arms, create a little bit of resistance so you've got that stretch. Reach your arms forward over your feet. Straighten out your back. Keep reaching so your armpits are over your knees if you can. Just imagine. And then start to lean back. Keep the full height of your spine for as long as you can. Keep the full weight on your feet. Round your back, round your back, round your back, round your back. Yes. Good. And then we're going to do that pulsing up and down again. Pull your heels to your bum to your heels and reach those arms forward over your knees 1 inch. and then barely go back and just reach forward another inch. So you're constantly pushing into the barrel. You never come off the barrel. It's just this little micro bend. That's better. Sorry. I keep forgetting that I'm the one being recorded, so I'm sitting up to look at you and you won't be able to see what I'm doing. And reach, and then come all the way up once again. So this time we'll go back over the barrel. This may or may not be the right spot for you. Keep reaching those arms forward over your knees and feet. Like think of, if you could even bring your armpits over your knees, that might be too much of a stretch for you. Keep reaching forward, start to retract, pulling the ribs back, protracting your shoulder blades. So your arms are reaching forward very deliberately. Yes, your back is rounding. You're pulling your heels to your bum to your heels, and then bring your arms up on a 45-degree angle. Notice where the barrel touches you. Start to bring the arms straight up to the ceiling. Bring your shoulders and your head back. Does that feel like a good spot for you? Reach your arms all the way back. And you can go as low as your shoulders will allow. And then I want the arms to come back up to the ceiling and really protract them. So the more you reach up, the more you should feel the space between your shoulder blades press down. Now, if you need to, put your hand under your head to lift your head if it's too much of a curve for your back, and then come all the way up. So I'm just giving you this opportunity here to make an adjustment if you need to. I prefer you to stay high up on your barrel and put something underneath your neck rather than move away from your barrel. If you have something that you can put underneath your neck, that would be preferable. And then you'll get the stretch in your back and you'll be protecting your neck. So I'll just grab something so you can see it later on in the recording, just a little pad. So when I go back, I've got a little something underneath my head. So reach the arms back, but not too low. So you can see those arms, reach them a lot, really protract the shoulder blades, pull your ribs down, pull your lower back towards the floor, pull your heels to your bum. Just reach the arms forward and reach the arms back. We're not going to use weights today. I didn't mention the magic circle, but I hope that you have it within reach. And if you do, can you grab it now? Fantastic. So holding the magic circle with your hands on the outside pads, in your heels of your hands on the circle, thumbs with your fingers. Let's squeeze the circle just enough that it's not going to fall on you, but I also want you to be very conscious about the surface of your hands that's pushing into the barrel. Like your feet, it's the big joint, big thumb joint to your pinky joint pressing into the barrel as you move the circle forward and back. Can you keep that protraction in the shoulder blades? Can you continue to pull your heels and glutes together and keep your ribs on the barrel? Keep your neck long. Keep this slight squeeze of the circle as you're moving it through this range. And then pause here, bend your elbows. Can you bring your backs of your upper arms right down to the barrel? Still holding the circle. Upper arm bones are going to externally rotate. So sometimes I describe this as tucking your arms under your ribs. You're not doing that, but you're rotating your upper arm bones in an external rotation. So you should feel the collarbones opening. You're trying to keep your collarbones open, keep the upper arms in that external rotation. And here's where it's really important to pay attention to the surface of your hand that's on the barrel, on the circle. Stretch the arms up and down a few times. So you're straightening and bending the elbows. Now, what I don't want you to change is that external rotation of the upper arm while maintaining the internal rotation of the lower half of your arm. Sorry, I can't help myself. I have to watch you keep going. And maintain the collarbones nice and wide. Okay, so rest after this one. Place your hands inside the circle. So the knuckle side of your hand is pressing outward. This one's a lot less comfortable. So let's just start with the positioning of your hands. And there's always one part of your hand, usually the thumb side, that does not want to make connection. The elbows can be soft. As you reach the circle back, don't go too low. You'll notice more restriction in your ribs. Try and keep the collarbone open and think of the external rotation in the upper arm bones and the surface of your hands on that circle. So sometimes it's the left or the right that doesn't want to cooperate. So after this one, keep the arms straight up and then bend the elbows, pull them down beside you. And then here in this position, you can really feel the collarbone open and the pressure on your hands, on the backs of your hands. Straighten the arms up and down. So straightening and bending the elbows a few times. Trying to maintain the open collarbone. Trying to maintain the pressure against the backs of your hands evenly. And then rest. Set the circle aside. That's should have felt for a lot of work. Sometimes it's in your forearm, sometimes it's in your shoulder. And then let's place our take our arms up to the ceiling and stretch one arm forward and one arm back. And as you're stretching the arms, really feel the opposition. So, and then switch. So you're not just being passive with your arms, you're not resting the front arm or the back arm. They're both reaching like they're being pulled. And now you have a little bit of freedom because you don't have the restriction of the circle, but can you still think about external rotation of the upper arm, however your palms still face one another? And then after this one, bring both arms straight up to the ceiling. Bring your fingertips together. You can bring all 10 of them together. Make a little tent. Soften your knuckles and your wrists and your elbows so you're making a slight hug shape. Really press those fingertips together, reaching the fingertips up to the ceiling, but keeping those elbows softly bent. Open the collarbones and push the space between your shoulder blades into the barrel. Push your ribs into the barrel. Open the arms out wide, keep the elbows exactly the same, bring your fingertips together. So opening and closing, testing to see if you're able to move the arms without disturbing the collarbone. You'll feel the shoulder blades separate as the fingertips come together. You'll feel the shoulder blades come together as the arms open. Make one more of these movements. And then leave the arms wide, take the arms back to that same point you have been, bring the arms forward towards your knees. These are your circles. So as you're circling, can you still maintain the open collarbones? I don't want you to think too much about the external rotation of the upper arm because I do want your arms to rotate in the shoulder joint. I don't want you to restrict that. And then reverse the arm circles. We'll do one or two more of these. And you know you can do these with the weights. We sometimes do. You just have to be a little bit more cautious. You can really feel everything so much more with the weights. Bring the arms straight up to the ceiling and then cross at the upper arm bones and let your hands just sink towards the floor. Recross. We're not adding any extra resistance here. We're just letting the arms hang here. If we had the weights, you could feel a little bit more stretch. Recross the arms. And this time you can grab the back of your shoulders, the straps on your barrel, whatever makes sense to you. Pull the elbows into your chest and exhale. Inhale, separate the arms, recross them. Pull the elbows into your chest and exhale. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Now, if your head doesn't return to the barrel, that's fine. Support your head with your hands, but don't pull. I want you to lengthen your neck. Make it long. Imagine that sheet of paper, or if you have something under your head, imagine pushing it away with the back of your head. Elbows to the ceiling so that you can push that space between your shoulder blades and your ribs into the barrel. So eyes are going to start to lift your head. You're looking between your knees. And when you get up to that position where your head is straight up to the ceiling and your neck is long, let go of your head and reach your fingertips over your knees. Here we are back in that position that we had just a moment ago. And you're going to reach forward just a little bit and then push the ribs back into the barrel. So don't come off your barrel. Reach forward another inch, but don't come off your barrel. Reach the arms forward another inch. Try to stay on your barrel. Now reach forward so much that you're starting to come off your barrel, but you can still feel it. Can you feel the left and right sides evenly? And then roll all the way forward. Bring your head between your knees. We'll use the barrel today for the 100 and our ab series, but you're going to push it back just a little bit. And today we're going to have the shoulder blades on top of the barrel as opposed to touching the floor. So when you're on the barrel, I'm going to have my legs straight, but you can also have your knees bent. The tips of your shoulder blades are not quite on the apex of the barrel. So they're not on the right on the top, but they're sort of on the front surface. And if you were to look at yourself, your head would actually be right over the apex of the barrel. Your head is up to the ceiling now. Reach your hands forward. Legs are long, if you can maintain that. Pull your ribs down and reach the arms an inch further. Actually, you know what? Bend your knees. This will give you a good reference point for a minute. So your fingertips are maybe close to your knees, touching your knees. So reposition yourself. It's a little different for everybody, but your fingers should be over your knees. You should actually have them hovering. So if you need to come up higher on your barrel, make that adjustment. So I want you to do that reach again with your fingertips. And maybe you can push your hands against your knees or the surface of your thighs while you push your ribs back into the barrel. Keep that position. You can either straighten your legs or keep your knees bent. And we're going to start to pump our arms from here. No fluttering of the arms. So it's really important that your arms be, your head and shoulders be at the correct position so that you can pull those ribs and lower abdominals into the back, into the barrel. So I shouldn't see that gap between your back changing as you're pumping. You need to be able to actively push into the barrel and protract the shoulders forward. Keep your head straight up to the ceiling and balance. So imagine a teacup or something on your head, a glass full to the brim of water, and you don't want to spill a single drop. Space out your belt. If your legs are out straight, then you're also thinking about making room for those pins in your pockets. And I think we're coming up to our last breath cycle here. Fully inhale and fully exhale. Keep reaching with the arms, bend your knees, and see if your hands remained in the same position if you reach your fingertips over your knees. It's that the same reference point for you. And then you can rest your head over the barrel, reach the arms back. This will be an easy position for your head because we move the barrel, and then bring the arms forward. Lift your head, lift your shoulders, pull yourself all the way up. So rolling like a ball, move yourself right back against your barrel. We'll do the single leg circles with our hips over the barrel, I think, today. So you want to be pretty close to the barrel. We're going to pick up our feet. So you can hold your ankles, you can hold underneath your knees. You could put the ball on the surface of your knees and hold it with your elbows, hands behind your head. And I'd like you to practice your rolling like a ball here. If you're too close to the barrel, you won't have any room to roll back. Get your feet off the mat. Lift your feet, don't let your head go back. Keep the weight of your head over the center of your body, so over your hips. And don't let the feet come down to the floor. I want to see the full length of your neck as well. So you're practicing your roll. And you're not adjusting your pelvis at all when you come forward. Don't flatten that back out. You might be too far from your barrel, Danielle. Get a little closer to it, I think. So everybody grab your ball. If you don't have your ball, you could use your magic circle, but the ball is a lot friendlier. Not. On your knees, elbows on the ball, hands interlaced behind your head. Pick up your feet. Push your elbows into the ball and resist with your knees. Pull those ribs back, space out your belt, think of your pins in your pockets, and just roll here. We'll do 5 rolls here. They're very small. So you're pushing your elbows into the ball. Yeah, that's better. There you go. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of upper abs, and that's what we need. Okay, so now set the ball aside and go back to what you were doing before, where you had your hands on your ankles or behind your knees, and see if you can recreate that feeling. That's better. All righty. Reposition yourself with the tips of your shoulder blades on the front of the barrel, not the top of the barrel. And stretch your legs out long. And then we'll bend our knees. Sorry, I said stretch your legs out, and then I asked you to bend your knees. And put your thumbs with your fingers and press your hands against your thighs. Really push. Use that resistance to push your ribs back into the barrel. All the ribs below your shoulder blades. Keep your head up, relax your jaw, relax your neck. Keep pushing into the right leg, lift the right foot, bring the right knee in towards your chest. Push that foot all the way down to the floor and switch. Push the left knee into your hand and switch. You can make this easy for yourself by not creating any resistance with your hands, but I need you to keep that resistance. Your head is up. The barrel is not a headrest. The barrel is more like a shoulder rest. And now you can keep your feet off the floor and just alternate lifting and lowering, just toe tap, pulling the ribs in, resisting with your arms, really resisting. Just toe tap, just toe tap. Don't change the angle of your knee. Last one on the left, and then pull the knees into your chest and rest. Grab your right ankle with your hand, left hand above it, stretch the left leg out. Lift your head, lift your shoulders, recreate the same feeling with that resistance and switch. So this is a lot easier when you're using your arms. You can pull yourself up. What I want you to find is that all of the power in your powerhouse, in your core, that allows you to move the arms, the legs, and the arms without just passively pulling. And one more time right, and one more time left. Then pull both knees into your chest. Stretch both legs out as if they're on its surface, on a table. Stretch your arms up to the ceiling, pause. Can you still feel the same pressure on the barrel? Circle the arms around, bend the knees, pull them back in. Did you just put more weight on the barrel? That's fine, that's normal, but keep that weight as you stretch the legs out and arms up to the ceiling. Don't let the weight come off the barrel. Circle the arms first, bend the knees second, and then grab your shins lastly. Inhale, arms up, legs out. Circle the arms first, bend the knees second, exhale third, and with more flow. Inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. Rest your head and shoulders, and this time you can make the barrel a headrest, so you can move forward a little bit more. Place the left foot inside the circle, keep the right knee bent on the floor. Right foot on the floor. Pull, so we're going to stretch our legs here. We're having a little pause in the Pilates, the ab series. Start to pull your foot over your face and reach the heel up to the ceiling, press the hips down. Start to straighten that left leg, whatever leg you're working on, doesn't matter. Straighten that left leg, straighten the other leg. And I mentioned this on Monday. So in a clinical setting, you would have this leg strapped to the surface of the table as you're being stretched. Put your left hand, whatever hand corresponds to this upper leg, the front of the thigh, and push that thigh away from you. And start to pull the leg across in the opposite direction of its origin. As you're pulling across, keep the hip grounded, keep the other leg grounded. It's a slightly different stretch with your head and shoulders elevated. And then you'll need some support probably for your arm as you bring the leg out to the side of its origin, making sure the bottom leg stays strapped to the table. Hips and ribs consistent on the barrel, the hips on the floor, ribs wherever they're landing on the barrel or the floor, and then switch the circle one more time to the other hand. This time you can try and reach the circle, the leg so far that the hip comes off the floor, and you can use your hand that was maybe close to that hip to pull the hip back to it, as we normally do. And then we'll transfer that circle to the same arm and bring the leg to the side. Find your inner thigh stretch. Flexing both feet, pressing the back of the bottom leg down, the ribs down, the neck long, and then come back to center. Let's switch legs. So both knees are bent, pulling this leg over your face, whichever one you've chosen. It's always a good idea to, once in a while, check the pressure of the circle against your foot. And like our hands, our feet will cheat a little bit. So make sure you've got even pressure across the ball of your foot. Now, as you start to straighten this leg, straighten the other one as well. And remember that that leg is now strapped to the mat. And you can start to pull this leg over away from its origin, but you place the hand that corresponds to that leg in the front of the hip and push it away. So you're making room for those pins in your pockets, pulling your ribs down. Good. And then brace your arm with the ball and bring the leg out to the side. Making sure the bottom leg is anchored. Good. When you're ready, you'll switch arms again. And this time it's nice to, if you like, you can pull that hip right off the floor and then return your hip to your hand, keeping your foot flexed, the other leg anchored, making room for those pins in your pockets. That just, all of that stuff just helps you square off your hips and gives you a better stretch, a more mindful stretch, a stretch that will help you later on do things like square off your hips and be aware of imbalances. Put the ball under your arm, brace yourself, take your final inner thigh stretch. So if you need to soften your knees during these stretches, that's fine. You can very effectively stretch your muscles with a slightly soft knee. You're not fully bending your knee. What you really want to do is just keep it from hyperextending if you have those kinds of knees. Push through the heels in both legs and come back to the center. Now readjust your body so you're not on the barrel, you're not in the headrest position. You can feel the tips of the shoulder blades, and you've got to use your own muscular strength to keep your head up. This is a good place to practice that. Bend your knees, pull them in towards your chest. Pick up your feet and push your thighs into your hands into your thighs. Straighten your legs up to the ceiling. Keep pushing your hands into your thighs. Now slide your hands up to your shins. Again, you can have soft knees here as long as you're practicing the exercise where it's intended. Keep reaching your hands up higher. Keep pushing into the barrel and make more space around your belt and your pockets. Then both hands are going to push into your right leg as you lower the left. And then you'll switch. And what commonly happens here is your weight comes off the barrel. Try to push into the barrel as you're pushing into your leg. One more time this way. And then you'll switch to actually grabbing your leg and resisting, pulling your leg out of your hands as you're pulling. You don't actually pull your leg out of your hands. You just do one or two more of those. Head and shoulders are up, and then bend your knees, rest your head and shoulders. Place your hands underneath your head, interlace your fingers, pick up your head, elbows forward. Space between your shoulder blade pushes down, ribs press down. Space around your waist and belt is equal. Squeeze your feet together, pick up your feet. Now this one is a little trickier with your head this high. As you lower the legs, this teeter-totter effect really lifts your head and shoulders off the barrel. I need you to keep pushing into the barrel. As the legs come up, you're going to feel more weight on your shoulders, on your ribs. Try and be consistent. I know I've said that before, but I'm saying it again. Good, your legs can be soft, they don't have to be straight. Nice. We'll do 3 more of these. You can change the choreography. Sometimes we do 3 slowly down at this point and quick up. And this should be your last, or I just did a bonus one. And then bend your knees, rest your head. I want you to come up really high over the barrel now and keep your hands behind your head. So now the tips of your shoulder blades are on the apex of your barrel, maybe even higher. Let's just practice here. Bend your knees and see if you can rotate over your barrel while keeping part of your rib cage on the barrel below your shoulder blades. So your hands are behind your head as you're rotating. See if you can come up a little higher, Karen. See if that. So let's just practice here. Keep your knees bent, hands behind your head. Let's rotate all the way to the right. Pause here. Do you feel equal weight on both sides of your pelvis? Your left elbow is reaching between your knees. Your right elbow is reaching back. Come back to center and rotate to the left. Left elbow reaches back. Right elbow reaches forward between your knees. We'll do it one more time each side. So you're not just rotating, but you're also reaching with the front elbow between your knees as the back elbow reaches back. And center. Last time to the left in this practice. So don't just rotate, but reach forward with that front elbow. Come back to center. Let's add the legs. Right knee up, left leg out, and rotate. And maybe you can touch your right knee as you rotate over the barrel. Come center and switch and touch your left knee as you rotate over the barrel. And one side's a little tougher than the other. Try not to pull with your hands. One more each side. Try and keep that pressure on the barrel as you're rotating. And rest. Pull your knees into your chest. Roll, wrap yourself up. Nice. We'll spine stretch forward and then we'll go hips over the barrel. So you go ahead and sit on top of your barrel. And sometimes what I've been suggesting is that you turn the barrel so that you're more stable. I'll just do it that way so you can see in the recording if you don't know what I mean. And now you should be able to straighten your legs a little bit easier. Again, I don't want you to push back with your knees down if you have hypermobile feet. Toes point straight up, not out to the side and not inward, straight up. Flex at the ankle joint, make that crease. You could put the ball down on the mat. That might be the right proportions for you. Your fingertips won't easily touch the mat without you rounding your back. And so I want you to press your fingertips or your fingers or whatever your part of your hand allows your back to be straight. So the ball is on the mat between your legs. Good, I'm just making sure everyone's starting at the right spot. Open the collarbones, externally rotate the upper arm bones. Keep the lower arm bones internally rotated. So eyes are going to look down first. And then as you start to roll the ball forward, you're gonna have to move your hands and walk the ball, pushing with your hands, your fingertips, whatever makes sense. Keeping the upper arm bones externally rotated for today. Keep flexing the feet. When you feel like you've gone as far as you're gonna go, I want you to curl your chin in, look at your collarbone, roll that ball 1, 2, 3 inches further, fully exhale, push your hamstrings down. Don't mistake that for the back of your knees. And then start to roll the ball towards you, continuing to look into your chest until you have to lift your head. Nice. I think I like that for you. Yeah, so press into the ball, eyes look down, and start to walk that ball forward, pushing into the ball, flexing your feet as you go. And as soon as you can, you start to, that's great. And as soon as you've gone as far as you think you can, fix your feet. Yep, and then look into your collarbone and reach the ball another inch, 2, 3, and then drag the ball. Check your feet, toes right up, and pull the ball back towards you, walking it as you go, lifting your head last. Amazing. Set the ball aside. Let's do this with straight arms. Arms are parallel to the floor. So when you start to bend forward, your arms will go forward on an angle. Eyes look down and start to reach forward. Now you don't have the pressure of the ball to remind you, but you're going to keep reaching with the arms. Maybe you can bring your hands between your feet so that your pinky finger pushes into the arch of your foot and you resist. That'll help you keep your feet upright. Keep going, keep reaching, look into your collarbone. Push your hamstrings down, push your hips down, and then drag your fingers back, pulling your shoulders down, lifting your head last. Nicely done. Okay, so let's get our hips on top of the barrel. And we'll do our single leg circles and the remainder of our leg exercises. So if you have a classical barrel, you know that you want the vertical strap furthest away. Just make sure that any equipment that we might use, your barrel, your circle, your ball is nearby. So pull your knees into your chest. And let's get your hips right on top of the barrel. So if you were to make your triangle shape on your pelvis now, your pubic bone is going to be higher than your hip bones because of the shape of the barrel. But you're trying to push that pubic bone down. Feet up to the ceiling and really pull with the arms. I might be a little high here on my barrel. Externally rotate those upper arm bones. Oh, there's that. And if you're holding the sides of your barrel, your lower arm bones are internally rotated. My elbows are quite bent. It's because I'm quite high on my barrel. So looking for the front pockets, start to reach your legs away, stretch them, stretch out the front pockets. Keep the weight on the upper arm bones, keep them externally rotated. Bring your legs up to the ceiling without losing or without getting poked by those pins. We'll lower the legs again. So make any adjustments you need to. As the legs are lowering and stretching away from you, you'll feel that weight coming off your shoulders and your head. You need to keep it consistent. We don't want the weight on your head or your neck, obviously, but we need to keep it consistent with where you started. Lower the legs to your working level. Stretch out those front pockets. Keep the pubic bone down, the hip bones down, the abdominals in. Raise your right leg just a little bit, and we'll circle here. We'll do 3 circles. If you were to slip your fingers under your hips, you want to keep the weight on your fingers even. So these are your single leg circles. When you finish 3, scissor switch the legs. Bottom leg is stable while the top leg circles above it. Make those circles controlled. So the leg that's circling is higher than the other leg. And then pull both knees into your chest and rock side to side. Alrighty. Stretch your legs up to the ceiling. Stretch them away from you. Now stretch them 6 inches longer. Look down the bridge of your nose. So whatever you can frame between your toes stays framed between your toes as you bend your knees. And you stretch the legs out again. So these are your frogs. As you're doing your frog knee bends, can you still think about those nasty pins in your pockets? So that's going to help you keep your pelvis anchored. 2 more. Don't let the knees go too wide. And last one, stretch the legs out, hold it there, lower the legs 1 inch, 2 inches. Now separate your legs just to the width of your hips. Bring those legs straight up and together. Lower them back to that same point. Open them to the width of your hips and up to the ceiling. Now smooth off the corners of these squares, and these are your leg circles, so they're not much bigger than your hips. Keep the backs of your upper arms externally pressing into the mat and externally rotated. Keep stretching out the front hip pockets. Reverse after 5. And really think about the space your circle is contained within. Try to control it from your inner thighs, your glutes, your outer legs. Yeah, don't just let the legs bounce around. And last one, and you can take a break here. Bend your knees. Rock on your pelvis side to side. Use your pelvis to actually rock your legs side to side. And then let's cross high on the thighs. Bend your knees once again. Whatever knee is top, pull it towards the opposite shoulder. So you're pivoting on one side of your pelvis and then you bring your pelvis. Practice that pivoting on your pelvis. And then reverse the cross and reverse the pivoting on your pelvis. So use your control. Don't just let the weight of your legs make that happen. Use your pelvis, use your abdominals, and then place your knees side by side. We'll make the corkscrews from here. So tilt your pelvis to the right. Swing your knees away from your chest. Pelvis is fully anchored. To the left, you're pivoting on one side, and then back over to center and reverse. Once more with the knees bent. And then let's straighten the legs up to the ceiling. Both legs to the right. Circle them down. Stretch out the front of your hips. Circle them to the left and back to center where you feel equal weight, and reverse. Stretch out the front of those hips. Your circle doesn't have to be huge, and rest. Keep your left leg where it is. Lower the right leg and pause when you think you're as low as you can go. Now, I don't want you to go any lower, and I don't want you to lift your ribs up. Some of you are arching your ribs up. I need you to press them down, externally rotate the upper arm bones, and push them down. Now, stretch that bottom leg longer, and then bring it straight up. Keep the right leg there, lower the left leg, same thing. Stretch it longer, but don't arch the ribs up. Better, and then switch. Lower the right leg, hold it there. Don't let the ribs arch. Now bring the left foot over your face. Don't let anything arch. Don't lose contact with the barrel. Both legs together and straight up to the ceiling. Lower the left leg first to your lowest and longest point. Then bring the right foot over your face. Find that big split without changing any of your contact. Then straight up. And then you can go into these big scissors, but to be mindful of what the purpose is here, stretching the legs without distorting your upper back, your body, your upper arms, all of the stuff connects, right? Next time your right leg is lowest, you can start with whichever. Lower, 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 lower till it touches the mat. Drag it in till you touch the barrel. And then bring that foot up to the ceiling. That leg stays straight up while you lower the other one. The top leg has a tendency to drift forward while you're cycling. Try and keep it stable. So you're trying to keep that leg straight and over your face while you go through your cycle. And try and use landmarks, reference points like your barrel, your heel, your toe. And then you can reverse when you feel like you're even. And notice how that top leg really wants to shrink and bend while you're circling, while you're bicycling through the other leg. Can you keep the upper arm bones active? Keep the ribs active, your shoulders, your abdominals. I think this is the last one for me. And then bend your knees, pull the knees into your chest and just gently massage out your back. Good. Let's bring the legs straight up to the ceiling. No, let's keep the knees bent. Sub-umbilical. So this is very similar to rolling like a ball. You need to use those upper and lower abdominal muscles almost exclusively. So if you push into the opposite side of your belly button, you'll feel your knees and the weight of your legs, your inner thighs come over your chest. And then you push the tailbone all the way back down so your knees point up to the ceiling. You almost feel the lower back arching off, but don't let it. Use the back of your arms very much as you push into the opposite side of your belly button. Just carry on. You know what we're doing here. And if you don't, you can wait for my instructions, but you're pushing into the opposite side of the belly button to feel the tailbone and sacrum lift off. Go back to pressing it all the way down before you resume. We'll do one more here. So feel those lower abs. Keep the knees bent. So once you're pressed into that belly button and the legs are over your chest, push into the back of your arms. Push your upper ribs in and see if you can lift more of your hips off without stretching your legs, without using the momentum of your legs, without using the swing. So really trying to focus on those upper abs. Just break this exercise down. Push into the belly button. Use those lower abs, use the back of your arms. One more like that. And then once you're in that position, then you extend the legs up and you'll notice that your legs should be on a 45-degree angle. I want you to reach up before you allow your legs to come horizontal. Keep lifting your tailbone up to the ceiling and push into the back of your arms. Push your shoulder blades down, push your ribs down, and then bring your hips all the way back to the barrel. You can use the choreography of opening your legs once they're up and over. But if you struggle with the speed of this without the control, try to work on breaking it down, slowing it down. You can reverse the choreography, starting with open legs and then squeezing them together. Keep lifting the tailbone and the sit bones up to the ceiling. When you watch this recording, if you watch it, you'll see that I'm kind of indicating with my fingers the direction of my pelvis as I'm rolling back to the barrel. I'm lifting, I'm curling into myself. It's like a spine stretch forward, except that we're using the legs instead of the arms. So you can look right into your collarbone, push into the back of your arms, and finish there. Squeeze the insoles, the soles of your feet together or the inner edges, it doesn't matter. Open your knees as wide as they'll go. Push with your hands. So you're really opening those knees. Push your knees apart with your hands. Push, 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 push. Now don't move your hands. Don't move your thighs. Just extend your legs out from there. Hold it. Really press with your hands. Press your pelvis down. Bend your knees once again. Push the soles of your feet or inner edges together as you open the knees, and then separate those legs, spread them out wide. Put your arms back where they belong and bring the right leg over your head, left leg down towards the end of your mat. Giant semicircle. Reverse that giant semicircle. Really make it huge. Then once your left leg is over your face, right leg at the bottom, scissor switch. Scissor switch, giant semicircle. So that little previous soles of your feet together is really just to help you find the full rotation of your hips so you can get a really nice, luxurious helicopter stretch here. How are we doing for time? Good. Nice. We'll do one or two more of these. And then let the weight of your legs sit on your chest to lift your pelvis and push the barrel away. And then let your legs drape over the barrel. Let your arms open, whatever that means. Spread them out, open the collarbones. Let your chest open, let your neck relax, jaw relax, breathe, inhale, exhale. And then we're rolling over to the side to come up to sitting. And whatever side you end up on, have the barrel up against the side of your legs, the side of your hips. So if you were leaning on the barrel and you had your elbow on top of it, that's kind of where we're going, but not where we're going to start. Your legs are staggered so that when you sit up, you can stretch both arms out wide without holding on to anything. So really adjust your legs to make that possible for you. Then grab the outside of your ankle and reach the other arm up to the ceiling. This hand that's grabbing your ankle, that corresponding elbow, externally rotate the upper arm bone, bend the elbow and pull yourself towards your feet. Towards your feet. Stretch. And as you're reaching towards your feet, you're not reaching towards the barrel, you're reaching away from it. And then come straight up again. You can use the barrel as a reference. You can pull away from it and press down simultaneously. So this bent elbow, you don't pull it back, you pull it out to the side. So if I was looking at you or a child was there, they could crawl between your body and your arm. That's how much you're bending your elbow. Yeah. So the next time that you're over, bend the top arm so the forearm drapes over your head. And now reach that elbow a little further. Pull the other elbow out a little wider. Resist with your hips, resist with your legs, and then straighten the top arm. Come all the way up, reach that top arm over your barrel. Put it down on the floor. Slide away from your barrel. You can bring the other arm out so that it's parallel to the bottom arm. Yes, and then reach with the top arm to come back up. You can flip the barrel over to the other side or just turn around. So you can start with your elbow resting on the barrel if you like, to just position your hips. It's just kind of a nice feeling. And then we'll bring your outside hand to your ankle. I was demonstrating that incorrectly. Other arm straight up to the ceiling. And try and press your ear against your arm. I know that's not always easy for everybody. Pull your hips away from the barrel. Outside elbow, bottom elbow, hand on the wrist. Pull that elbow away from the barrel. So as you're reaching over, imagine the top hand reaching so far that it could touch your bottom upper arm and then come up. Pull that elbow wide. So if a child or something, a dog could just come right underneath your arm. That's as big a space as you're making. That helps you pull your shoulder down. That's better, much better. Keep your hips down. On this third reach, bend your upper arm so the forearm reaches, just drapes over your head. Let it hang there. Use the elbow, the top elbow, to reach further. Use the bottom arm, pull the elbow out wide. Resist, push your hips down, and then straighten that top arm and come all the way over your barrel, all the way to the mat on the other side. So the bottom arm is down. Yes, now raise the top arm so you're pretty parallel with the arms and you can reach a little bit. Don't go too far because I want you to reach with the top arm. Bring yourself all the way up. Move your barrel off the mat. For our seal, it's that time. So think of rolling like a ball, how I had your elbows on the knees. We've been doing that a little bit lately. So you could even start with that, elbows on the knees as you pick up your feet. And keep picking up your feet, and then make that diamond with your legs. Wrap your hands around your ankles or your feet. around your back, and go ahead and roll. Inhale as you roll back, exhale as you roll up. Keep your eyes inside your diamond, so you're not looking up. You want to use your head to help you roll. If you want to, you can add the clap. Make sure the clap comes from your hip sockets. Good, maybe after this one, keep looking at your feet. Push your weight forward onto your feet until you're able to stand up. Roll the shoulders back. Roll the shoulders forward. And you're done.